Business analysis. Risk types. Welcome, everyone. For a business analyst, it is important to be aware of different types of risks that may arise during the project. It is also important to know how to handle them. This presentation is based on the Business Analyst Handbook and the Foundations of IT Service Management, based on ITIL version 3. We will introduce different risk types and categorizations and strategies that can be followed to manage risk. A useful, commonly used tool will be introduced as well, the Risk Assessment Matrix. Requirement specification is one of the most important steps in the life cycle of a project and in the life of a business analyst. There is always a risk that the requirement specification is not finished on time, and this may result in a rework or delay in the whole project. There are many risk types in relation with requirements process. There may be new techniques used, for example, such as a use case approach. Also, there is a risk that the validation of requirements is missing and that the expectation of the customer is not represented. Verification means that the requirements documentation cannot be used effectively by solution providers and the tester. There may be challenges in the requirements management process, such as a diverse project team, different locations, or use of new project management tools. Finally, among requirement risk types, we have to mention product risk. When launching a product, a new IT service users and stakeholders may not recognize the need for the product until they begin to use it. This is a reason why well-targeted demos are used on the market. ITIL defines risk as an uncertain outcome, a positive opportunity, or a negative threat. ITIL differentiate contract risks, design risks, operational risks, and market risks when a change occurs. Contract risks mean that the service provider will make it impossible to satisfy the contractual agreement. Design risks mean that the services delivered do not perform as expected. The next comes operational risks. It is very common, and each organization faces operational risk during everyday operations. Finally, there is a market risk, meaning that the developed product is not competitive enough. ITIL suggests to reduce market risk via differentiation and consolidation. There are other risks that have not been mentioned previously, and still the business analyst should be aware of them. There may be technology issues during the project, or it might turn out that the proper expertise is missing. The project also may be canceled, and similarly to the design risks, there may be quality issues as well. Finally, there can also be security problems that have to be handled during the project. Every time you identify any risk, you should have an action plan to manage that risk. There are 4 strategies that you can choose to follow. Avoid the risk. You can do that by changing the scope of the project and do the planning again. You can choose to transfer the responsibility. You can accept the risk if you think it is reasonable, and you can also try to mitigate risk by creating alternative plans. The risk assessment matrix is used often to evaluate risk. It assigns risk levels based on its business impact and its likelihood of occurrence. Then, based on these measures, it also assigns risk levels. It is a useful tool to be able to categorize risks in the projects and identify those that should be presented to senior management or the project sponsor. We have just went through risk types related to requirements. There can be time, requirements process, and product risk. According to the ITIL methodology, we differentiate contract, design, operational, and market risk. When managing risk, you can choose to avoid it or try to transfer it to another entity. You can also accept risk if it is at a reasonable level. Finally, you can choose to mitigate risk and take actions to reduce the impact. We have had a look at the risk assessment matrix that is often used to evaluate risk, as this is an important tool to remember and to be used by business analysts. Thank you once again for your time and attention, and this is businesstraining.com, where you can earn a master's level qualification to make more money.